Our dynamic duo checking in now from Russia, Seb and Herc. Seb, let's start with you. 24 hours to reflect upon Mexico's win against Germany. You're feeling a little more optimistic now? Yesterday you were kind of worrying, looking forward. Are you prepared to enjoy it right now?
Adrian, the theme of the first, maybe 10 minutes of today's 2-on-3 podcast is my mea culpa to Juan Carlos Osorio. But I want to make it very clear, okay? So everybody understands. You can see that? I was wrong. Ooh. Okay? He made Joachim Low look like the guy that manages my Sunday League team. And after watching Sweden and South Korea struggle today, I think Mexico should and will win this group, which puts them in a very good spot for the round of 16. Look, whether or not this tournament is a success will still come down to what Mexico does in elimination games. But what Juan Carlos Osorio did yesterday was a masterpiece, and everybody who ever criticized him, myself included, and I criticize him to the high heavens and back, must now take a knee and defer to El Rey Colombiano.
Wait a second. It took 2 games, Chile and Germany, to lose faith in Juan Carlos Osorio, and he regains it with 1 game.
Yes.
Forget about everything else he did. Forget about all the good. Forget how he's completely ignored the press, stayed to his team, and gotten that group to believe, to play for something. Now you're in?
Yep.
After 90 minutes, now you're in?
Yep.
That's convenient. That's convenient.
It was the greatest performance in Mexican soccer history, definitely in Mexican World Cup history. I'm sure there's some people out there from the 60s and 70s that'll tell you differently. It's the best I've ever seen them play against a team that good. It was simply phenomenal. It was magical. If they can be at that level, this is a quarterfinal team minimum.
Well, there is no reason anybody should be able to argue with you, because you can't argue that. This is easily the biggest performance Mexico has ever had because of the stage, because of the opponent, because of the moment. If somebody tries arguing with you, that's just, I don't even know what to say.
My kids are going to be named Juan and Carlos, or Juanita and Carlita, okay?
Nice.
I think that was a quarter-final guarantee there from Mr. Zala. Is he going to be holding up the "I was wrong"?
I think Mexico.
I think after watching the 2 teams in the group today, Sweden and South Korea, there's nothing really to worry about. There's not a lot to be scared about. As long as they're professional and play with the same tempo they did against Germany, they should get the right result, shouldn't they? Of course they should. They've done the hard part, beating the world champions.
Yeah. There's nothing to worry about from Korea, I don't think. I think Sweden pose a threat certainly from set pieces and in terms of their physicality, but in terms of the style, whether Sweden sit back or not, I don't think that troubles Mexico all that much.
Was this the perfect storm for Mexico? Did they get Germany at the perfect time? Yeah. And the challenge is going to be different moving forward?
I think so. It almost looked like the Germans just thought it was going to pitch up and happen. Listen, Mexico, they played great. It's as good as I've seen them play for a long, long time. They did play great, but as much as Osorio got it all right with his personnel and his tactics, Jogi Löw got it wrong. I mean, you can't be leaving the gaps they were leaving the midfield. They got hit on the sucker punch. They were left 3-on-3 so many times, it was scary. And Mexico deserved to win, but you got to remember, Cameroon beat Argentina, the world champions. Senegal beat France in 2002. Did get to a quarter-final, Senegal, but haven't been back to a World Cup till now. That is 16 years. So do not get carried away.
They're going to have to change their game style. They can't play on the counter-attack against the 2 sides we saw today. Sweden aren't going to come out and play high up the field. They're going to sit back. So they're going to have more creativity in the top third of the field and pick their passes and be more clever around the box. So it's a totally different game plan.
But that's what Mexico normally does in CONCACAF. In CONCACAF, they dominate possession and position, which is what is going to be called on from here on in. So I'm not that worried. I think Mexico scaled the high hurdle. Now it's about finishing off what on the face of it should be a relatively easy task.
Well, they've got Korea next, Sebi. It could be 6 points they're looking at after 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's critical that Mexico wins this group. You look over at the other side, it's going to be Brazil. If it's not Brazil, if it's Serbia, if it's Costa Rica, if it's Switzerland, what we saw yesterday in the stadium, Mexico is going to be playing a home game in the round of 16, unless it's against Brazil, where you might have a 50-50. And, of course, whether it's a home game or not, you don't want to be playing Brazil compared to any of those other 3 teams. So there's still have to win the group. Otherwise, the victory goes a little bit wasted if they come in second and end up facing Brazil, who's the other favorite beyond Germany.
I think Shaka hit the nail on the head. This Mexican team, that's how they play. They possess the ball. I'm surprised Stuart thought that they're a counterattacking team versus Germany. I thought they pressed Germany and made them give up the ball in bad positions to have those moments with open field. This Mexican team, the type of teams they suffer against, like Shaka said, are the type of teams that Sweden is, where they sit back, they counter, they make it dirty, gritty, they make it aerial duels, set pieces, even from throw-ins. Those teams historically, Mexico struggles against.
But wait just a second. Mexico has struggled against those teams because they haven't been good at set pieces in the past. Not only are they good in attacking set pieces now, they're pretty good in defending set pieces. And that falls back again to, who's that? Juan Carlos Osorio.
The guy you had no faith in.
I was wrong.
A brace from Romelu Lukaku and an absolute stunner from Dries Mertens sees Belgium beat Panama in their first ever encounter by 3-0. Shaka Hislop here with me for this one. Shaka, frustrating first half for Belgium. Panama did well not to concede any goals, but we kind of had a feeling that once Belgium did score, the floodgates would be open and we would get a result like this. So the question is, just how impressive were Belgium for you in this one?
I thought they were very impressive. Now, okay, you can say, and rightly so, this is a game that Belgium should have won.
Yeah.
Panama were there for the beating, coming in at the first tournament, and as minnows. But at the same time, I think that's what gives Panama its resilience. And I'm talking from experience here.
They roughed them up.
They did, and that's exactly what you come in to do. Now, Panama come into this tournament knowing or not truly believing that they're going to win it or even get to the next round.
Just happy to be
But
there.
they're here to represent, and a little bit more than just being happy. They're here to represent. They're here to represent the history of Panamanian football. And again, speaking from experience, because this was our mindset going into 2006, that we were going to go in there and give people a headache. Make them, if they were going to beat us, they were going to have to earn it. And that's what you saw from Panama. That's what you saw from them in the first half. And it may very well, that approach may very well have taken them to 90 minutes. And you knew it was going to take something special to break the deadlock. The issue was always going to be that once that deadlock was broken, that the floodgates would open because Panama would now have to come out and start looking for an equalizer themselves and kind of play in a way that didn't get that goes against what got them to the break at nil at the very least. And Belgium found something special in Dries Mertens and that finished. Belgium are a team stacked with very special players. And they got it. And once they did, it was no real surprise to see them go on and do as well as they did. The bigger takeaway is Lukaku getting two goals. I continue to feel that Lukaku isn't quite the polished finisher that Belgium needs. If they are to go very deep, I don't want to say very deep, maybe into a semi-final or a final. And these two goals it does wonders for his confidence. It puts him in a place, certainly within that team, that I don't think he's enjoyed at this level in the Belgium squad up until now. And that may stand not just him, but more to the point, Belgium in very good stead in a tournament that, as we were saying earlier, we've seen some of the favourites kind of stumble along. It was an impressive 90 minutes for Belgium on a number of levels.
All right, thanks so much to Shaka Hislop. So I guess pressure on England now to put out a big result and hopefully see as one of the favourites can continue their good form against one of the minnows, so to speak, in this one. For more from the World Cup, you know to keep it right here at ESPN FC and make sure to catch the show later on ESPN+.
In Volgograd, Maka against Tunisia, echoes of 20 years ago, the opening game against Tunisia. A little different, this one, down to the wire for England. How would you describe the performance and the result?
Well, I thought the result was great because they eventually got the win. I thought they thoroughly deserved the win. I didn't think it was a penalty for the Tunisia goal. They laboured in the second half. I thought they'd make more chances. I thought they'd be more dominant in the second half and make more chances. But they got the right result in the end, and it'll take off a huge amount of pressure off the team, certainly back home in England. The fact that they've got 3 points and Belgium got the other 3 points that we'll talk about, but I thought they deserved the victory in the end.
It looked for a long, long time, didn't it, Craig, as this was going to be another one of the same old stories for England, despite playing pretty well. Is that fair?
Well, it shouldn't have been tight. I mean, they put a very attacking team out. There was only Henderson really as a holding midfielder, and they absolutely went at them and battered them. I know the first 45 minutes, particularly the first half an hour, they battered Tunisia. I mean, it should have been game over. It wasn't, and as Maka said, it wasn't a penalty. But VAR looked at it, and because it was subjective, contentious. They were never going to change it, but I thought England were very good in the first 45.
The stats, Stuart, certainly tell the story, don't they? Tunisia, in fact, their only shot on goal was that hotly disputed penalty. England had plenty of shots on goal, plenty of chances. Chances came and went in that first half particularly.
Yeah, I thought England played very well. The way they found their midfield players, the way they could get it from back to front with quality, the forward runners, Lingard made lots of forward runs, Dele Alli made lots of forward runs, the link up between Sterling and Kane was good, the fullbacks or the wing-backs got high up the field and got crosses into the box. The only thing that was missing was the finish and that final pass. They didn't always get that right, and the final finish. But apart from that, they also, I thought, defended really well all over the pitch.
I thought this was, without question, the best England performance I'd seen for some time, particularly at this level. And in fairness to Tunisia, they come with a game plan to get a point. They want to get a point against England, against Belgium, and maybe hope for a good result and luck to go their way with the other results. And they nearly got that. It wasn't a penalty. England, yes, totally dominated, deserved the victory. Lingard had as poor a game in an England shirt as you'd seen. Good chances falling to Stones, to Sterling. Outside of that, it should have been 4 or 5. But you come away from this with the win, hard-earned, but happy with the performance.
It's good news for Harry Kane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he wasn't the only one, but at the Euros he looked tired.
Yep.
He didn't look his normal self, and he's been given the armband. He's arguably one of the most sought-after players in the Premier League, and he's got himself off with 2 goals as captain for England. So his confidence is going to be sky high.
And also, it's after the fact that they scored off 2 set pieces, and again in the Euros, Harry Kane was taking the corners, wasn't he, at the time? So the fact that he's in the box,
which is bonkers,
which was bonkers, yeah. But the fact that he's in the box on the end of 2 little flick-ons, first from John Stones and the second from Harry Maguire, shows where he should be in the right place at the right time all the time.
2 goals on his World Cup debut for Captain Kane. Is it enough to earn him a 10, though, for Stuart Robson when we look at the England?
Oh, no, not even enough to get him a 9. He had 7 until he scored the second goal. I mean, all the England players played reasonably well. I would say the only one that I was disappointed with was Dele Alli. He made lots of runs, but I don't think he affected the game particularly. Ashley Young's final ball wasn't quite good enough. If that had been better, I think he would have got a 7. And Maguire gave a 6 because early on in the game he gave the ball away twice in poor areas, but everybody else I thought played very well.
Ashley Young gets the lowest mark other than Jordan Pickford and Maguire. Why is Ashley Young, let me ask you this, taking free kicks near the end for England?
Well, he's got a decent right foot. He's trying to bend them over the top of the wall. I'm not sure he scored too many for Manchester United over the last few years.
We were trying to remember the last one. Has he?
Yeah, you'd think that Harry Kane has scored lots of goals from free kicks. He'd be taking them when it's shots on goal. But his final delivery wasn't as good as it normally is. Usually when Ashley Young gets to the byline, he chops it back onto his right foot and he bends good balls into the box. And that didn't happen today. But the general play was good.
You've got 2 full-backs taking the free kicks, haven't you, really?
Yeah.
Trippier had a bash at it. Ashley Young. Going back to Dele Alli, I mean, that's what Dele Alli's all about. And I mean, for long periods in the game, you won't see him. He doesn't always get involved in the play, but what he is good at, and it wasn't his. Maybe it was a difficult game because of the way Tunisia played. But all he's looking for is to time those runs. And I think when it opens up a little bit later in the competition...
And he's playing a little bit deeper than he does when he's playing for Tottenham. When he's playing for Tottenham, he plays near Harry Kane. Today, Sterling was playing up there, so he was playing slightly deeper and he was trying to make runs from deeper. But he didn't get on the end of anything.
Just final thought, Mac. You've been inside these England camps. How much does that relieve any pressure that would have built up?
Well, you can imagine a dominant performance, a penalty that shouldn't have been given, and to draw 1-1, it would have built the pressure up a lot on the England players. They should have won today. On paper, they should have won. They should beat Panama. It just gives them a whole load of leeway now, because we know that they should go and beat Panama. We saw them today. They're not impressive at all, are they, the way they played against Belgium? And now we can look forward now. 3 points for the top 2. Let's roll on against...
Now the odds, they're overwhelming, aren't they? Belgium and England, overwhelming favourites to get out of the group. What do we make of Belgium? Romelu Lukaku with 2 goals.
Multi-talented, great players. They've all had great seasons.
Yeah.
The Dries Mertens goal was, I think, typified the talent in the team.
Fantastic strike, wasn't it?
It's an absolutely great volley. You've got the power of Lukaku. You got Mertens and Hazard floating around behind them. You got De Bruyne and so you can bring on Dembele from Spurs, who's a big, strong guy who hardly ever gets pushed off the ball. You've got Vertonghen at the back, Marcel in the back 3 with 100-odd caps. I mean, this is a damn good side.
Yeah, Macca talked about England knowing where their next pass was. Belgium knew where their next pass was. They knew if they couldn't go wide, they could get it into Hazard or Mertens. If they couldn't get it into him, they could go longer for Lukaku.
What about the wing-backs?
Oh, and the wing-backs, well, they weren't playing as normal wing-backs. They were playing almost as a right winger and a left winger, particularly Meunier down the right-hand side. Every time Alderweireld came out with the ball in the first 20 minutes, he could just pass that ball straight into him. And then they started to open or try and block that up, and then they could get it into Mertens.
And the goal is not bad either.
You take the win. You take the win, especially after you see some of the bigger teams in this tournament stumble on match day one. But we are talking about Belgium and Panama and Tunisia here. Games that you expect to win, and I'm not sure you learn all that much from England and Belgium against this opposition. Get the job done. You get the 3 points. You can't tell too much until these two meet in match day 3.
Yeah, I agree. We fully expected them to win today. They laboured slightly in the first half, just checking out the opposition. Second half, they get the job done, and that's exactly what you'd expect. You can't go overboard because the opposition is not good enough to test them defensively. But they're good players, the Hazards, the De Bruynes, Lukaku. They all played well.
De Bruyne specifically, what did you make of him?
Well, I really like him. I thought he just strolled round. It was really easy for him. But his pass with the outside of his foot for the Lukaku goal was absolutely sublime, wasn't it? When you need a little bit of magic to open up the game against tight opposition who want to sit back and defend, if it's not Hazard or Mertens, it's going to be De Bruyne.
It's a technique that's gone out the game. Using the outside of the boot, he drifted into the box and played a brilliant cross into the box with the outside.
We know exactly how good De Bruyne can be. My concern with De Bruyne in this Belgium squad is I think Roberto Martinez plays him a little bit too deep. Plays him almost as a defensive midfielder to tell a story. He's only scored 1 goal for Belgium under Roberto Martinez, and that came in a friendly. Now, I think...
There are others scoring.
Sorry?
There are others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They have more than enough talent, but I just feel De Bruyne's talents at that end of the park can be wasted by sitting in front of the back four.
Stuart, what about Romelu Lukaku? Does he continue to be underappreciated? Big stage?
To a certain degree. If you want an out-and-out goal scorer, he's a brilliant out-and-out goal scorer. He gets himself into good positions. He's good in the air. He's powerful. He'll roll defenders. If you want him to link up the play, he's not quite so good at that. But if you want somebody who's going to run in behind, be good in the box, win headers, Romelu Lukaku is a very, very good striker.
He's ideal for Belgium, isn't he?
Because they've got other players that can link up the play. They've got other players that can do the creative side of the game.
I mean,
he's a good finisher.
Scoring record, 35 goals in 69 games is... That's top level.
Yes, no, it's great, but the supporting act's pretty good as well,
Yeah.
When you've got players, you mentioned the players, Mertens, Hazard, De Bruyne. I mean,
he actually doesn't have that supporting cast.
He's underachieved. We think he's underachieved because suddenly now in a Belgium shirt, he's got De Bruyne, Hazard, Mertens all around him where he hasn't had that at United. They play a different style than Belgium, don't they? Completely different. So he's certainly not undervalued in a Belgian side.
My criticism of Romelu Lukaku is I don't think he's a very clean finisher, which I think you need at the top end of the game. Now, Belgium come into this tournament ranked number 3 in the world. You expect them to go deep against a Spain or a Germany where you don't get more than 1 or 2 chances as a team during the course of a game. I'm not sure that Lukaku is the man you put your mortgage on to convert that half chance to lift
It wasn't a bad finish for the second goal today.
Against who?
The goalkeeper threw himself out the way, but he was 1v1.
Once again,
it's a good finish. You can't blame it. It was a good finish.
We're talking Panama. I'm talking
about... goalkeeper. He's up against the goalkeeper, 1v1, and he lifts it over him.
Brilliant finish.
Do that against Neuer and I take my hat off.
Premier League or not, Eden Hazard's a marked man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because they definitely targeted him. I mean, his calves.
Yeah.
He must have like umpteen packs of ice at home to put in his calves because he gets the treatment. But fair play to him, he picks himself up and he gets on.
The difference between him and Hazard today and Neymar yesterday, one wanted to get on with the game and get on with the ball and make the next pass happen. The other one wanted to roll on the ground and make a big song and dance.
The German papers have been freaking out, quite frankly, haven't they? Not a fiesta, a fiasco. One of the headlines. Wake up amongst the other headlines. Jogi Löw under the microscope. Shaka and Craig.
I think they will. I think they will wake up.
Yeah.
And I expect them to win the next 2 games. I mean, that might sound a bit blasé, but this is the wake-up call, right? Early in the tournament, they've lost games in the group stages before, and it hasn't affected them greatly. But this was the wake-up call. I expect them to win the next 2 games, go through with 6 points. But there were some worrying signs in this game, i.e., the lack of mobility in midfield, the lack of protection to the back line, and dare I say it, it's probably easy to go down the Leroy Sané route, but when they were sorely lacking somebody that had pace and was going to run and try and get in behind. That guy's not at the tournament.
Wake up for the manager or the players? Has he got to change the system? Has he got to change the personnel?
I think both.
Personnel he'll change, won't he? He'll definitely change the personnel.
And despite the defeat, still prohibitive favourites to win the group, Germany.
Well,
do you understand why?
No, I don't. I think Mexico have more than enough to beat both Sweden and South Korea, which means quite clearly, obviously, Germany could only finish second. And depending on who they draw, maybe they don't come up against another test quite like Mexico, another counter-attacking test quite like Mexico. But it was concerning for me how inept Germany were, and in particular certain individuals. Sami Khedira, for me, was simply awful in midfield. When you see the likes of Carlos Vela able to pick the ball up 10 yards outside his own box and simply run past the entire German midfield. Toni Kroos, that's not his job. I don't think he did a good enough job of breaking things up before that. And then Mesut Ozil, the player you're looking to unlock a packed defence, went missing, which has been our complaint about him sitting at club level for quite some time.
You saw the odds. They're actually not favourites to win the group. Favourites to get out of the group. Still, rightly so, Greg. I mean, are they going to take 6 points from the next six?
I think they'll get out of the group, yeah. I mean, that would be a disaster for them. You know what I mean? I mean, you can see the reaction already.
Yeah.
But it might mean Gundogan coming into the team, a bit more mobility. You might see Marco Reus coming into the team. You might see Timo Werner dropping out and Thomas Müller playing through the middle. Although Werner does like to run in behind, against these teams that they're going to play, they're going to be defending deep. So there's not going to be space for him to run in behind.
There's this amazing feature. Bing can predict who's going to win the big football match. Got the schedule of upcoming games. Oh, that's cool. Bing is predicting who's going to win. Now they'll start coming to me for football predictions. Great.
Hazard making his mark on the field, off the field too. Some quotes about his future that have been doing the rounds. The Chelsea midfielder saying, if I stay, then it would be because they're going to improve on last season. Real Madrid could be interesting for me. As everyone knows, they know what they have to do if they want me. First of all, I want to see what will happen at Chelsea ahead of next season. I want to see if the coach stays or not. Let's bring in Gab Marcotti, who's in Moscow for this. Gab, what's your take on Eden Hazard's quotes, his future, and indeed the future of the Chelsea coaching spot?
Well, Adrian, Eden Hazard basically came out and said what other people have said about him all along, that he's got a contract that's winding down. He's got 2 years left, and rightly Chelsea want him to extend his deal. And before he commits, he wants to know what the future will bring, whether Conte is going to stay, whether there's going to be investment in the team, who's going to come in for Conte. And right now we've been saying all along that as far as Chelsea are concerned, they don't want to pay Conte's compensation, and there's kind of like a stalemate. That negotiation's been going on in the background. At the same time, of course, Chelsea's sounding out candidates, and it's been reported that they have a deal with Maurizio Sarri, of course, the Napoli manager. But of course, this is fraught with peril as well, because they would need to pay Napoli compensation. Some outlets reporting that they've agreed a deal with Napoli. That's not my understanding. I think there's still some more negotiating to be done there. And of course, once they get Sarri, they still need to reach some sort of agreement, some sort of understanding with Antonio Conte as well. So I think they would be pretty excited about Sarri. Eden Hazard, obviously, he's very close with Dries Mertens, who of course had Sarri at Napoli. So I think Chelsea fans can feel a little bit confident about this, but there's still a lot of negotiating to be done, because
this is going to be an England are going to win the World Cup edition of ESPN FC Extra Time, isn't it?
You'd like nothing better.
Isn't that the conclusion we all jump to after one win?
I think we're all right. I think we're all right this time. I think we expected them to win Tunisia. They never destroyed them. They never won by 4 or 5. They got the result
but how many
that they
times
deserved.
have we seen them at a European Championship, World Cup, where they've played poorly and scraped it or not got a result, and everybody's been moaning
and not had any plan?
Today they had a plan. They played well. There was good combination play between the midfield players and the front players. The
They look
defenders
better,
came out from the
they look
back,
better
yeah.
than Argentina,
Yeah.
so we're happy with that.
And Brazil struggled.
Must mean you're going to win.
There's never a middle
To win it
ground.
now.
There's never a middle ground with England, Craig. They're always no hopers or everything's going horribly wrong, or they're going to win the World Cup.
We're all right today.
Don't ask the Scotsman.
We're all right today.
Don't ask a Scotsman.
That's Macca.
Yes. Well, there's
What they
plenty,
need is a bit of controversy.
plenty of questions coming for you all. If you're
Get
watching,
Gaza to hide somewhere and do something.
if you're watching this on ESPN Plus, this is the segment which is supposed to be generated by viewer questions, and indeed we have plenty. To both, in fact,
No, we don't
all of
want
us.
plenty, just three. Three will be all right.
Well, and England dominate the questions. How did Mr. Burley celebrate England's winning goal? Asks. Asks
I think he
Solar.
should.
Once he answers it, we'll tell you the
They
truth.
should ask us that. He was actually quite reserved. He was.
No, I think, and I've said this before, I think Mr. Nicol at home
Yeah.
will be slightly peeved. Don't bother me.
No.
Yeah.
Because you're not really a true Scotsman
I've
anymore,
lived,
are you?
well, what are you talking about? I've lived in England, well, up until here, to the US. I lived in England for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
All my mates are English.
Right.
I ain't got Scottish mates.
Yeah.
I've been disowned.
So in answer to your question, he was really reserved. I think he was quite happy that England got the winner because England deserved to get the
Yeah.
winner. He's a football man. He knows
As
his
was
stuff.
Stewie, by the way.
Yeah, we were very reserved.
Yeah.
But it was
We were
England
okay.
deserved it, so we were pleased for them.
Yep.
I'm not anti-English.
No.
Oh,
We were certainly all
Scottish
ready
people
to talk about a 1-1 draw and how different that show would have been.
Yeah.
Despite the performance.
I don't think we'd have said anything different about the performance. We'd have said that they were slightly unfortunate with the penalty. They didn't make the most of the situations they had when they got into good areas. But that would be the only problem with England.
Kevin Macca wants to know from you, did you think Gareth Southgate would become a coach during his England days when he played alongside him?
You know what? Not necessarily, but sometimes you don't have to be a big shouter or a big communicator to be a leader. Gareth was always a leader in the teams he played for, so it doesn't surprise me in the least the fact that he has become a manager. People still have the same question about the likes of Zidane and the likes of other England players who played. It's like you never ever know when you played. Steven Gerrard was quiet in the dressing room. If you had him or Jamie Carragher, you'd always say Carragher would have been the manager because he was the big, loud communicator. Where Stephen was.
What about his record? Most England managers have a really great managerial record before they get the job. You can't really say that about Gareth Southgate.
No.
Because he did
Not
okay
necessarily.
to start with at Middlesbrough, but then got them relegated, then got the sack, and then
Well, they did
became
stumble into the job after what
Yeah,
happened.
he became technical director for England for a while.
He went a different way about
Yeah.
getting the job,
Yeah.
but I think we all appreciate what he's done, and he's certainly revitalised England, and he's brought them into the 21st century. He's very open. The camp seems very happy. The press conference he did with all the press before he went away was this open press conference like they do in the Super Bowl to a certain extent. So I think everybody's really behind him.
Yeah, a lot has been made of this new dynamic. Do you see it? I mean, is that real?
Because there was always this wall between the players and the press, and everybody was battering each other all the time. They don't like him, we don't like them, and it seems to be everybody's given each other a little bit more space this year. They've all spoken to the press. The press have got behind England. Listen, it'll change if England get knocked out in the group stages. It'll change dramatically, and so it should. But I just think there's just been a little bit more transparency this year.
Are you impressed by Southgate, what he's done?
I have been,
Made some good moves today, didn't he?
No, I have been. And it's not. It doesn't come into the job under great circumstances. A lot of pressure, especially as always comes with the England job. And I thought he handled it very well. Even just to start with, and how he handled the kind of transition of Rooney out of the team. It wasn't how I guess many expected it or wanted it to go. I thought he respected Rooney, his role that he's played, did that almost seamlessly, and now doing a wonderful job with his team now.
This being England, not all the questions are positive. Here comes Justin. Please can Macca get out to Russia and give Sterling some shooting practice? Bloody useless tonight, according to Justin.
Have you seen Macca shoot?
I was going to say that. I think he scored. I mean, the goals he scored last year, I never scored that many in a season, so I certainly can't teach him anything. But I think there was a slight criticism, if anything, about England not finishing the game off in the first half, wasn't he? And whether it's Raheem or John Stones had a great chance, Lingard had a good chance. So I think you can point fingers to a certain extent, but the fact that they got the right results.
Sterling seems to be attracting the ire of England followers. Craig Joe also weighing in, saying he looked a shadow of the man who won the league with City. Do you think he should be dropped for the next game? Says Joe.
No. I thought he looked sharp. His movement looked good. I think the whole thing was a little bit flatter in the second half in general, but I think the way they started the game, I like him playing that more central role. He's got a licence to float around. Look, the one big criticism you had of Sterling was end product. Well, he put that right at Man City this year. He's never going to be clinical in front of goal.
Yeah, he's never going to be Harry Kane.
He's never going to be clinical. But his ratio and his goal scoring at Man City were excellent, and his pace will hurt defenders.
And he links up well with Harry Kane today. The combination was good. There was a good understanding. That's what you need if you're going to play with two up front.
It seems to be, though, that if anybody's going to be a scapegoat if something does go wrong, I'm kind of thinking
it will be right. It's already built up to be.
Particularly what happened before the World Cup.
And to the fans, Rashford is sometimes the golden boy. Everybody wants Rashford in the side, and Sterling's the one they want out the side. That's just people in general.
Shagger, no disagreement. I mean, he was the scapegoat before the tour. If he's already the scapegoat.
He's going to be the scapegoat, and I think Raheem Sterling has got to recognise that and be prepared to take that on his shoulders. But as we sit right now, even if this game finished at 1-1, I say make absolutely no changes for the second game. I thought the performance was very, very good, and the scoreline, even at a win at 2-1, doesn't tell how good England will. Make no changes.
And also, against the opposition who want to sit back and defend, you know, the defenders of England are always going to have the ball more in a lot more space and be able to move forward with, you know, with more time. The forwards are the ones who are going to be camped down with less space because of the way they defend.
And when you have a player like Sterling and his pace and how reliant he is at times with his pace, and playing against a team like Tunisia who sit back, it can sometimes make for a frustrating 90 minutes. You saw that with France, for example, against Australia. But I thought he played around, he was able to find space. I mean, credit goes to Gareth Southgate as well. I thought Sterling played really well.
And the reason you play out from the back is so you get better quality into the front players. And England did that. They came out from the back, they got it into good midfielders, so they could roll the ball into those two front players.
Shall we end with the keepers?
Yeah,
Roddy wants to know how many goalkeepers you think Xhaka will criticise during the World Cup.
None.
What's the over/under on that?
Zero.
Setting the line.
The over/under is zero.
Yeah.
De Gea had a mistake. De Gea, one criticism of David De Gea, but that's it. That's where I draw the line.
What about the Panama goalkeeper?
Yeah.
For Lukaku's second goal, the chip over them. That was a mistake.
He dived out the way of it.
De Gea took a panning in Spain, didn't he?
Yes.
Particularly in Madrid.
Yeah.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, I know it was a bad mistake, but he's a hell of a goalkeeper.
He's played well for Spain. You know, never mind his incredible performance.
He starts
for
the next game,
Manchester
sure.
United. Yeah.
Is it because he's not going to Madrid? Or is he? I don't know.
Some have said De
Or
Gea
is
should be
he?
dropped.
Nah.
Some have said that.
Now, I think David De Gea, again, even if you want to disregard somehow his performances for Manchester United, for Spain, I think he's been good, and certainly has grown into the position. Maybe started off not as great as he's finished over the last couple of games. This one, you put that down as a one-off, take that on your chin, and you move on.
We're going to see that 45-year-old keeper for Egypt. Actually, his replacement did pretty well.
Yeah,
did well,
He made a
really
lot
well.
of saves, so
No.
maybe we won't.
That 45-year-old goalkeeper come out for the ball less than Xhaka did.
We won't see the 45-year-old keeper. It remains to be seen whether we will see England end that. How many year drought? 52?
Oh, you've got me
Okay.
going.
But who's called it? Yeah, but who's called
More
it?
than that.
Every day we will recap the day's events from Russia. ESPN FC available on ESPN.